Moderator.
Should we sit or start?
Let us pray. Baba, katika jina la Yesu tunakushukuru kwa sababu umekuwa nasi tangu asubuhi. Asante kwa nafasi ambayo umetupa ya kushiriki pamoja tukikunywa na tukikula. Twajikabidhi kwako hata wakati huu, tukiomba uwepo wako uendelee kuwa pamoja nasi. Tubariki kwa ajili ni katika jina la Yesu tumeomba na kuamini. Amen.
Amen. Let's have our seats now and welcome to the session after tea. We hope you have enjoyed your tea and any snack that they offered you and you have cleared. Good Presbyterians must clear what is on their plates. So if you haven't, you can bow, go out and clear. Thank you very much for coming back. Although there are still a few commissioners and delegates, and we occasionally check whether people have sneaked out. Nanyuki, the two of you are in the house. You know that's the farthest point you can go by railway. So they might decide to leave early. Sugar Belt also live in Uganda, so they might decide to leave. Tanzania, they are in, thank you. Imenti North, they are in. Let's try Nairobi kidogo. Kajiado, good. Ngong Hills, your neighbors, they are in. Commissioners are good. Looks Milimani South, Longere, but there is no minister in Milimani South. No, there are two elders, understandably, but hakuna mchungaji. Where is Reverend Kireka? Wana Murigo tafuta unamwambia akija nitamuona. Nilikuwa nimefika wapi? Logere, Kanoli not yet in? Okay. Nyandarua? They are good. Joro? Unaona mmoja ametoroka. Mutafute ndio tuone kama Kiganjo here. Kiganjo? Good, thank you. You never know when we come back. Order.
Thank you, Moderator, sir. Before we go to the Moderators Report, we have greetings and a message of goodwill from Reverend Munyoroko, all the way from UK. And I'm also told that the Family Bank are here, so they can give their message of goodwill before we go to the messages.
Okay, Family Bank, who is speaking? Who is bringing greetings? Come over to the podium.
Thank you, SG, the moderator, and your team. Good afternoon. Now, greetings from the MD Family Bank, who is Rebecca Mbidi. She sent us with the greetings for this team. And I came with one of my colleagues here. Her name is Susan. Susan is our branch manager, maybe wave, for Utawala branch. Thank you, Susan.
Now, allow me to just mention 2-3 things. We started a journey with PCA Church, and we have been working pretty well. And we are happy because of the progress of the discussions and what we are doing together. Now, one of the things that MD sent me to come and pass to the team here is we started a journey of getting feedback from the leadership. And one of the things that came in was what is in for the elders. So as we talk, we have already come up with a package for the elders, and we expect that to be circulated anytime before the end of the week. So we are happy for that. Number 2, we talked about the PCA mobile application, which is work in progress. And we are happy to communicate to you that the journey has started of coming up with an application for PCA Church. And that will facilitate different functionalities that function within the PCA Church. Number 3, we are keen to see how this relationship grows and moves further. We are taking more feedback on the things that we can do together as well as a bank. And therefore, I am looking forward to getting more feedback from the teams on ground. And I want to appreciate the elders and the leaders for allowing and giving our teams who have visited your parishes and congregations in different times for meetings. So we are grateful. And lastly, we are inviting you to use our tools. We have different tools that will facilitate the transactions for PCA as an institution. So we're inviting you to onboard yourselves to our pay bills. One of them is Lipana Family, which is a new pay bill that has 0 charges, and that's a very great blessing. We are also asking you to come to us when you're buying your buses, and whatever decision you have for capitation, we'll support you and we'll be together with this. And God bless this relationship, and we're looking forward to working more and more. God bless you. Asante sana.
Thank you, Family Bank, for visiting us and bringing greetings and a goodwill message. Next order.
Moderator, the next item is a presentation of reports. And Moderator, sir, we'll start with the Moderator's report.
Thank you. I now want to request our past moderator, Very Reverend Dr. Jesse Kamau, to come and take the seat and chair the meeting. The moderator's report is document 1. Document 1, I hope you'll get there very fast. The moderator's report to the first GSC of the 23rd General Assembly held at PCA Mirere Hotel, Nairobi, as from April 19th through 22nd, 2022. Preamble, commissioners and delegates to this first GSC of the 23rd General Assembly, I greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. We are thankful to God for enabling us to meet at this very important season in the Christian calendar. The period of Easter marks the conclusion of humanity's redemption journey initiated by God himself, recorded in the Gospel according to St. John chapter 3, verse 16. It is therefore a time of great reflection and thanksgiving. Our Lord's words on the cross that it is finished, recorded in St. John 19, verse 30, are the sweetest and most soothing music to a Christian's ear. It underscores the fact that humanity's debt of sin was now paid in full. We are therefore in gratitude to God that we are not just meeting to deliberate on PCA matters, but also to reflect on the meaning of this season as part of the Universal Church. It's also worth noting that since the first GSC of the 22nd General Assembly that assembled in Nakuru in April 2019, no substantive physical GA or GSC have taken place as expected by the Constitution due to the challenges occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. This is the first physical meeting since then, where all commissioners and delegates are congregating physically. In spite of that impediment, the Lord has been faithful and has carried our church like he carried the Israelites, in the same way chicks are carried by their mother eagle. You can get that in Deuteronomy 32, verse 11. The impact of coronavirus. We sadly acknowledge that coronavirus had a heavy effect on all of us. We lost ministers, elders, deacons, and members. We once again said our prayers and sympathies to all those who were affected. We are also aware of the negative effects the pandemic has visited on us as a people. We must therefore work together with understanding and empathy as people rebuild their lives, their livelihoods. Moreover, until coronavirus is totally vanquished and declared so by the World Health Organization, let us not become complacent and quickly revert to our social interactions as they were not post, pre-corona era. Let us move with caution. The theme. Last year, the 23rd General Assembly took off under very unusual circumstances. Numbers attending gatherings were limited, and social distancing and wearing of masks were mandatory. It is as such that we took office guided by the theme, give careful thought to your ways, in the book of Prophet Haggai, chapter 1, verse 5b. Just as physical hygiene was demanded of by the pandemic, God was also calling us to exercise spiritual hygiene through the theme, giving careful thought to our ways. The theme, therefore, resonated well with the times. Since the theme addresses various facets of our church life, districts, parishes, presbyteries, and the GA office need to come up with reports showing tangible ways in which people have considered their ways. Activities over the period. Along with other officers of the General Assembly, I was installed in office on April 6, 2021, in a General Assembly that was largely virtual. Over the period and through God's grace, I've been able to undertake the following. Sadly, presided over several funerals of ministers, minister spouses, a few elders and members, and made efforts to console the affected families. Further, I also presided over the unveiling of the cross, of several unveiling of crosses, e.g. that of the late Secretary General, the late Reverend Peter Kania. Presided over the wedding of Reverend Moses Wamugo in August 2021, baptized ministers' infants, and presided over ministers' wedding anniversaries. On monthly basis, I've ministered to the entire church through CAC TV in a new program called Jukwaa la Moderator. Ministered to the entire church and nation from PCA St. Andrews during the Christmas and New Year days. Launched the mission week of all our church groups, and on many occasions done it at different parishes. Chaired several business committee meetings, presided over the launch of central events of church groups, e.g. PCMF General Conference in Mombasa, Women's Guild Leaders Conference in Mombasa, and Youth Summit in Rift Valley region. Presided over dedication of churches across the regions. Some of the examples are Lodwar and Garissa. Presided over subdivision of Loresho, Lanet, and Kingongo parishes. Lead a visit to Ormoran of Laikipia Presbyterian to console those affected by clashes. Visited a number of sponsored schools, Kirimara, Kajori High Schools. Presided over several congregations, parishes, and congregation anniversaries. Along with partner denominations, presided over the groundbreaking of a new chapel of Alliance High School. Gave an address in an interdenominational forum called Church and Politics Summit in Moving Park Hotel in Nairobi. Later, we co-authored a book on our presentation at the forum. Commissioned a swimming pool at Milele Guest House, Nairobi in July 2021. Commissioned boreholes in Mapalasha and Lumuruti. Along with other G officials, visited and familiarized ourselves with the state of mission land in Kikuyu, Tomutomu, and Shogoria. Along with other G officials, steered the formation of PUEA's Board of Trustees at University Council in line with the charter awarded in December 2020. Participated in 2 graduation ceremonies of PUEA. Participated in St. Paul's events like graduation at Board of Trustees meetings, where I was elected the chairman. Participated in a virtual Kenya Mission Network meeting. Presided over the launch of past moderators, very Reverend Dr. George Wabujao's book, From Pulpit to the Heart. Facilitated seminars for ministers and elders. I have also taught at PCA retraining to prospective elders. The state of the church. The church has continued to offer spiritual nurture in all districts, congregations, parishes, and presbyteries. The General Assembly have also continued to steer the church as mandated by the Constitution. This has, however, happened under certain limitations as follows. Practice and procedure manual. Along my stewardship, I've realized that the practice and procedure manual that was last reviewed in 1998 is good, serving as well. We should proceed adhering to it, but we need to look at it going forward so that improvements can be made, reviews can be done, and some of our time-honored traditions can be included also in the practice and procedure. Church population. The church population figure we often make reference to cannot be ascertained. There is need to verify the actual number of our membership for proper planning. If this exercise is to be carried out successfully, leaders must take it seriously and stop returning misleading figures for fear of higher MMF assessment. We can have proper data without necessarily tying it to cessing. Church projects, the year under review, has been very difficult with many unwelcome invasions to the GA office by auctioneers, mainly due to the Milere luxury apartments in Mombasa. The same creditors also succeeded in getting garnishee orders. I heard that name for the first time. Garnishee orders. Once I became your servant in this office, that is when I came to know there is such a term. Garnishee orders. Against the GA office accounts. We are glad that the business committee came up with a way forward that should put to an end this challenge. We urge our presbyteries to ensure that the money is promptly paid. If not yet, since after all, it is not an additional budgetary demand, but part of an existing allocation. Even as we implement it, every business committee should be required to have a projects committee made up of professionals in related disciplines that will liaise with the foundation and the General Assembly office to guide the church on viability of investments and borrowing. Advise on existing commitments, e.g. in Puer and Milene Mombasa. This will help the church to be careful in the future when undertaking projects that on the surface look very brilliant, but are eventually not sustainable. The existing loans attached to some of our assets have made our church a laughing stock and have even become a source of internal strife as leaders and members get divided on how we should address them. The business committee got advice from a technical committee, and moderator, through your indulgence, I would ask them to start. There's a committee we raised in the business committee, and it worked diligently. Are you in the house? Yeah, those men and women and others who may not be here were the ones who gave us a very good report on the way forward. Thank you. Budgets. On this matter, I still believe we must relook at our budgets and formulate realistic ones. We have shown that by example as a business committee, as we maintained a 10% rebate on parish sales for yet another financial year, 2021-2022. We must evaluate the general capacity of the people raising the income in the budget, as there are far too many areas that have remained far too long in our books. If we are still learning, having not raised the areas, is evidence that we maybe never needed them in the first place. That would mean that maybe sometimes we over budget. Note, I'm using the word maybe. Other than those tied to salaries, the business committee must come up with a policy on how long debt should remain in our books, of course with the advice of the GSC. The tired mantra that PCA does not forgive debt is misleading, as it is not theological. As in the Old Testament, there was a year of Jubilee, Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 1 through 2. And Jesus paid our debt of sin in full, yet he had not incurred it. We cannot overburden present generations with debt incurred by their ancestors. Time management. I hear like you wanted to clap. Number 5 is time management. We must all improve in this area as we keep on deteriorating. We rarely start anything on time, and then when it finally starts, we introduce many extraneous matters in the program, making it unnecessarily long. This used to be mainly in the public sector, but even our private sector is not doing well. Many people, therefore, choose to skip events or leave prematurely as they have journeys to make and other commitments to attend to. Presbyterianism. Presbyterianism was re-established in the 16th century by the likes of John Calvin and John Knox. It was as a result of a painful era of abuse of scripture and governance. We must therefore guard it jealously. It is a system that, if properly followed, produces great results. Though our system is unique in comparison to the popular systems around us, we are envied by many. Let us not be like the Israelites, who are uniquely connected to their monotheistic, invisible, potent God, but desired the way of the Canaanites and other neighbors of multiple, visible, and important idols. God was their ever-present king, but they desired a variable king in spite of properly being cautioned against it. A study of our short but rich history as PCA would definitely make us realize where Presbyterian was overlooked in our church, and the last Episcopalian decisions made, the negative results have lived to haunt us. The place of regions is the church. Though not having real-time constitutional powers, regions have proved to be very useful in our church administration. Any fair distribution of anything in our church is best carried out through our 5 regions. It is in regions that recruitment into the ministry is done. The GA office conveniently meets people in regions. With a high number of presbyteries, several of them have become weak for effective administration. With that background, this could be the time regions can constitutionally be empowered, maybe under a new Presbyterian name, to now do what they do and more. Officers of the church, ministers. These are the teaching elders of the church. There is a very important role in Presbyterianism. Recruitment must therefore be done carefully in accordance with the clearly laid down regulations. Compromises must not be allowed at all levels of interviews for selfish interests. The training of ministers must regularly be monitored to ensure it meets the required standards. One of the biggest challenges observed during the Reformation period was lack of proper training of priests, leading to misguided theological teachings. The first certificate earned for ordination must always be in Reformed theology. Elders. The place of elders in our church need not be spelled out. It is constitutional and well protected. Their recruitment must be guided by prayer and spirituality, and the service competence must be the yardstick. Elders must be empowered and accorded respect by all. Their roles must not be taken away from them, much as they also must not overreach themselves. Their voice must be listened to and not stifled, as that would kill Presbyterianism. However, one thing that appears to be gradually getting forgotten is that the position of eldership is non-remunerable in PCA. Church and politics. Last year in July, the business committee instructed that people with political interests should not be given time to speak during our worship sessions. This was generally well received by our members. Several other denominations thereafter adopted it as their modus operandi. We should therefore be proud to have set pace on this matter among many others and not revert to the old pattern, as some have regrettably done. The national elections are coming in a few months. We must approach them prayerfully. The church as an institution shall not take a partisan position on the elections, but will advocate for peace and fairness at the elections. Members are free to make rational decisions on who to elect, but this should not cause animosity, as at the end, Kenya will remain one. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission must be fully ready to manage and deliver fair, credible, and verifiable elections. Winners must be gracious in their celebrations and should be aware of the enormous task ahead of them in building a united Kenya. Losers must accept the verdict of the people and take up their role of building the nation as well. Aggrieved parties must follow the acceptable channels of arbitration, and the judiciary must be fair in its determinations. Outdated traditions. Our church has unequivocally expressed itself on this matter. Our fathers made a choice to drop what was not consistent to the Christian faith. Yet they are the ones who understood those practices better than we do. It is a deliberate choice they made, as Christianity, unlike colonialism, was never forced to any community. There is no way in which we can question a decision made by sobermites who knew the real meaning and substance of the practices, and they now belatedly choose to follow modern, self-styled practitioners of the old ways, who have no information or have it in a distorted way. There are terms that have come up among the Kikuyu people that if you dig deep into the Kikuyu history, they were never in use. They have been coined by the self-styled practitioners. Look at the old history books, the Kikuyu people. There's no word as Gomi. It's not there. It's something that they have coined to try and distinguish between Goma and Gomi. Yet the Kikuyu people themselves never differentiated. They talked of Goma, and that was it. Therefore, that is a new coinage, showing that they have distorted things. They were never, if you read that the old books like Facing Mount Kenya, old books like those written by Gadegira, Gakara Wawajau, some of these terms like Mogogoni are not there. They have been coined by these evangelists because they want to, show like something is happening that's different. Since our African societies were traditionally oral, these modern cultural evangelists, in quotes, are largely innovators, as there is not much in record for reference. Our time in the Lord's service is short and must not be spent in worthless courses that add no value. Like our Master, Jesus Christ, we must be ready to tell the folks that we have better things to do that are not only urgent, but also important. You can get that in the Gospel as recorded by St. Luke chapter 13, verse 32. Breakdown of ethos. I talked in detail about this matter in my acceptance speech last year. Things have not got any better through the past year. I, of course, pointed out that it was not a PCA challenge, but a societal one. Since, nevertheless, we are part of that society, we must be concerned as well. We have lately witnessed some misguided young men stripping a ready motorist. We have seen people in broad daylight looting from an accident scene in total disregard of the loss of life and the trauma of the accident to the victims. If an evaluation is done, it's possible that those people engaging in such lawlessness are affiliated to a church. Do I dare say PCA? But religion has become a Saturday event, not a lifestyle thing. This must be addressed. In conclusion, commissioners and delegates, we are thankful to God for his care and protection over the past 1 year. We are also thankful to our membership and leadership at all levels for their commitment in service to God and fellow men. Going forward, let us avoid wastage of time on matters that add no value to our short Christian journey on earth. Let us not make mountains out of molehills by spending precious time on matters that do not move us forward. PCA has always set the standard for others and must avoid lowering it for short-term conveniences. May our good God bless us all. Amen.
Thank you. That is the Moderators Report. You've listened well. And those of you who have the docket, or whatever instrument you're using to read the report, you have it. Now, time for questions. Now, because time is really gone, we don't have time for many questions. Shall I give 4? Let me give 4 to begin with. Without making a speech, don't make a speech, then ask a question. Be direct, so that a direct question will have a direct answer. I'm looking for heads up for people who would want to questions. Yeah, to make question. All right, one. There you go.
Okay, thank you, Moderator. Mine is on practice and procedure manual because there is no constitution for all times. We must agree that we must attach timeline. Has the office, or rather the moderator with his officers, evaluated the timeline that we need to take so that we can review this constitution?
Thank you. Next question. Yes, I can see one hand over there. Whoever is holding a mic. Do we have 2 mics? And the mic man would have to be faster. Thank you.
Thank you, Moderator. Mine is on church and politics. Since the church position on politics is that we should be impartial in elections, I'm asking whether there is a way as a GSC we can have a voice to the so-called deep state to tell them also to be impartial in their positions.
Question heard. Thank you. The gentleman at the corner there, you near the wall.
Thank you so much. Mine is about training of teaching elders, that is the ministers. I don't know what criteria they use because earlier on it has been saying that one has to be conned. But currently, nobody can qualify to be trained if one does not have the entry for the university entrance. But somebody may be called when one has a D+, a C plane, but one cannot enter that training. I don't know what can be done there. Thank you.
Is that a question?
That's a question.
Sounds like a comment. All right.
Thank you, Moderator. Sir, I would like the moderator to comment about the life after restructuring of groups.
There will be time for comments.
It's a question I'm asking.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Is it possible to consider the restructuring of the group and bring them back to the Presbyterian level?
Thank you very much. Those are 4 questions. Now again, as I said, we have to run if we have to complete our business by Thursday. So there being no other question, let's have the answers.
Thank you, Moderator, for the opportunity to respond to questions raised. Thank you for the questions that were raised. Practice and procedure manual review timeline. Let me say this now is a repeat job because in a previous General Assembly, the process of review was started. and went up on to what maybe we would call referendum, back to the people, after collecting and collating the views of the people. The document was taken to the presbyteries. Unfortunately, it was voted out. And when we wanted now to restart it again, we were advised as a business committee that we cannot just restart using the old resolution of the General Assembly. It needs another resolution of the GSC. So that's why I'm sure this matter will come up even in other reports. We would need a resolution to start it off. And maybe once we have the resolution, if we get it, now we can talk of timelines, because as it has been said, it has taken a bit too long. And there are many things that are overtaken and that are not even included, resolutions that were passed that ought to be in the practice and procedure manual. So maybe timelines can only be set once there is a resolution now allowing the business committee to proceed with the review once again. Since we should not take partisan positions, can we advise the deep state to be impartial as well? Well, I don't know whether the deep state exists as an institution. So even if you dared to look for it, you may not find it. Nobody will really own up that I'm in the deep state, other than one governor who said it is deeper than deep. Yet now he says he's not in it. So it would be a bit difficult for anything that is not constitutional to try and address it and say, you know, you deep state. Because they may ask you, who told you we have a deep state? That's why we can only address the institutions that are constitutional. For instance, the IEBC, that is a constitutional body. We have parliament. We have the register of political parties. Those are institutions we can talk to. Those that get the Ministry of Interior, those that get directly involved in elections, the judiciary as well. As for the deep state, I need to be helped with the address, because for sure, well, there are things we know may be there, but we are not sure. Now, recruitment of ministers and the pass mark or the grade that is required, it is true that a call would come through to anyone, but again, realizing the times we are in, it may be not very good to recruit a minister who may not match a certain level of education. I'm not saying that C+ is necessarily what we should go for, but you know, ministers are trained on certificate in theology, diploma, and degree. So maybe it's possible to source for ministers, and that has been done, where we look at communities and realize we may not get that high grade. It's opened up for those who may not have a C+. But again, remember the trades, the changes, the dynamics of the ministry today. And again, ministers are trained in universities. Universities have their entry requirements. So even as you recruit, because they will need to be taken to a university, they must meet the minimum requirements of that university. The other question was on the restructuring of groups. This was done by you people in a GA, and you all acclaimed and said, yes, that's the way you want to go. And I remember, because I was in the GA office then, we were almost accused of delaying the implementation of that resolution. Yeah, I remember meetings were becoming very stormy. GACs, you officers of the General Assembly, mbona munakataa ku-execute hii resolution, kwani nini munakula kwa vikuti? It was almost getting that far. So we had to take it through because it was a resolution. So it was enacted. But our church is a beautiful church. It can still be undone through maybe a petition from the presbytery that should be brought in time, or through a resolution of the GAC. I need to be guided there. But again, it has to go to Barry Act, because you remember it changed the constitution. The moment we agreed that groups be limited to the parish level, we changed the constitution by that act. It was through a barrier act. Therefore, if you are to redo it again, it can be done again through barrier act. Maybe it could be part of the review of the constitution. So it is still possible if we do the right things for that to happen. Moderator, those were the questions I guess that were asked. I hope I have answered them adequately.
Thank you. Maybe the people who asked questions have the answers, but we also leave it to the Holy Spirit to expand the area in which you are asking, so that we will continually get more answers even as we discuss this report now and later. It's now time for comments. One comment there at the corner by Levet Mugambi.
Thank you, Bwana Moderator. My comment is that the Moderator's report is good, capturing many of the things that as a church we are hailing, and at the same time at the society. Maybe something else that maybe I would comment upon, Mr. Moderator, is the item on breaking down of ethos, where the Moderator has cited our young men striping off clothes of our ladies. And I would say this is just a symptom of a deeper disease that is encroaching in our society. And Mr. Moderator, I would suggest that as a church, we should now critically look at this issue and see how we can be able to address, especially the misuse of psychoactive substances, because some of these actions, they are really fueled by the chemicals our young people are using. The church is treating people physically, spiritually, but now it is the only time we think of the mental health in our society. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you very much. The lady here, Reverend Jennifer. Wait for the mic.
I just want to thank our moderator for a well-researched report. In particular, I want to comment on the budget and now the need to even forgive people debts so that our children don't carry the burdens, and doing realistic budgets. And I'm asking, how soon will this be realized? Because it's good to forgive people these sometimes unrealistic debts, so that people can worship in truth and in spirit without too much burdens. Thank you so much for even reminding us everything is possible, even including lighting off some of the debts people carry. Thank you.
Thank you. Right at the back there. Can't see well, but that's Dr. John.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My comment is on the budgets again. I want to thank the moderator for giving a very comprehensive report concerning the church and this issue of realistic budgets, and also forgiving the debts. I see this as a double-edged sword, in the sense that it is good to forgive debts, but also realize that that can also demotivate others who have continued to sacrifice and to go out of their way to ensure that obligations are met, and they forego projects, and others are doing projects, and priorities become maybe upside down, and therefore that matter needs to be looked at carefully, even as we look at how we are going to forgive those unnecessary debts that actually may cripple our ministry. The other comment is on the outdated traditions. Yes, we, especially in this central region, that are culprits, and we have been deeply affected in our ministry by our members, and especially in the PCMF, being involved in those outdated traditions, and also our ladies, being negatively affected. We all need to join hands to ensure that we fight that vice by teaching the truth and also standing, for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Moderator.
Wait, there was one hand there, and then you at the corner, you, then we. Mike, man holding a mic. Do you have just one mic? All right.
Thank you, Moderator. Mine is very brief. I want to commend the Moderator for a great report, a good report for the church, and that is covering all the areas of our church. But I have a comment on officers of the church, particularly focusing on eldership, where the Moderator has clarified to us that this is a position that is non-remunerable. And I don't know which boundaries that we need to have on areas that areas that we can consider when it comes to elders, like, for example, insurance of elders, that is medical, is that remunerable? And even in some other areas, you may find that we are giving monthly airtime allowances. That need to be clarified much better, that we may be able to know the extent that we can go, as much as, even as we try the best we can to recruit and inform our elders in offering voluntary services for God. Thank you.
That note at the corner, then we finish with you.
Thank you, Moderator. One of the issues that I wanted to raise has been highlighted, but on church population, as it has been raised by the Moderator in his all-out report, we are continually say that we are over 4 million, and I don't know the best procedure we can use so that we can know our numbers. And also, maybe cap this where leaders are giving misleading figures. We need to know how many we are. It will also help us in our budgeting and also in as far as mission is concerned. When it comes to Presbyterianism, we have our order of doing things and more so communication. And recently we have seen, even social media do a lot of harm to our church. They don't know whether still the issue is being looked at by the GA office so that we can also maintain the respect of our church or the name of our church. Thank you.
Final comment. Final.
Thank you, Moderator, for well-researched report touching on the various issues that are affecting our church and clearly stipulating the way they can be addressed. And I would like just to comment on one on outdated traditions. That is an issue that is actually affecting the region of Central and other regions where more so the largest community of our church are. And approaching it in the way of education can really suppress it without actually emotionalizing it and making it too religious, because I like the approach of making people understand that what actually they are doing now, that is not what was there, and make it the people who are actually the teaching elders, that is our ministers, to understand clearly what is right and what was right, so that when they are telling people there is nothing emotional, and what is actually being advocated and practiced is not what was there. They are doing a different thing, and what those additional things are the ones which are actually not actually touching at all and not actually conforming at all, because whatever they are doing is totally different. The other issue is on the issue of the regions. That is something which is actually now, it cannot be ignored anymore. It is something that is feasible and clear to everybody who is in PCA that the number of presbyteries that we are having and the parishes require even a closer management at a lower level to stop only the GA offices to be going loud, doing all ceremonies that can be conducted by other ministers who are in those regions. So it's the high time for us to address it and address it as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much. That is quite a lot. As we continue to study the report, and even as we consult with the Holy Spirit, you remember even the visitor from AACC talked about the heretical movement and talked and the preaching and singings that are going on. We have quite a lot that we need to study and see what we can do. Now, since we don't have a resolution...
Moderator, sir, please. If you could allow me, I could just make a small comment.
All right.
Thank you for the permission to do that. I wanted to mention something in regard to debts and forgiving those debts, and observe that what I was seeing is that it needs a scientific study. It's not that we say, let all debts be forgiven. If that would come as, maybe at some point as a resolution, it will require a scientific look at the debts. You cannot just say the debts of last year, like the ones we were following here, will be forgiven. For sure, no. It needs going into history and looking at very old history of presbyteries that were dissolved, parishes that are no longer known even by those names. Maybe if we had people who can look at it that way without upsetting the financial health of the church. We do not want to upset the financial health of the church by a roadside, clemency of all debtors. It would require quite a lot of thought. It would also require being given careful thought. So let nobody take home the message that sasa musubiri, musiripe tena. It's not that way. Again, one thing that I have observed, Moderator, is that when you try and formulate realistic budgets, there is prompt payment. For instance, I have seen the year 2021, 2022, the year that we are in. I have seen very good payments, not only from our area. I have seen people in Eastern, people in Mount Kenya, completing their cess in time. So maybe if we looked at cessing or MMF in a realistic way, would be able even to collect more than when we have very heavy budgets that frighten people even before they start working on them. But these things, again, need to be looked at. I am one person who believes in not lashing into things simply because they sound good. And I think I've said that even in regard to projects. That we need always to look at something before execution, because I can excite you with something that sounds very good, but eventually it is doom that I'm bringing unto you. Thank you, Moderator.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we want to have a resolution team, a committee of about 7 people to do the resolutions of the Moderators Report. When you suggest, I'm not undermining or rather underestimating the power of anybody, but don't just suggest a name. Look for someone who will arguably look and balance at things rather than just suggesting a name or someone who will be in a committee and say nothing. So, give me names. I will now begin with Brother John Changari.
Moderator, I'm proposing the name of Reverend Julius Bogwa from Keremara.
Is that accepted? Is that accepted? So name taken, John. Reverend Bogua. Aya, another one. None of there. In the middle of the.
Thank you, Moderator. I propose Elder Elijah Guyo.
Elder
from Nyeri Presbyterian.
Elijah Guyo. Is that accepted? All right. Elijah Guyo is an elder. Now then, you. Friends, now you see, we have to keep on balancing. We also want to see might of the lady elders or lady ministers so that we can balance. So please make sure that we balance them. Elder Wagai. Well, there are many Wangais. Say, which Wangai? Okay. All right. Thank you. Excuse me. Pardon me. I don't mean to. All right. Is that accepted? Is that accepted? All right. If it is a yes, make it a healthy, strong yes. All right. Now then, the gentleman at the corner there near.
I'm proposing Reverend Jennifer.
There is one guy, then Jennifer.
Yeah.
Although we know Jennifer, but when you propose, if you know more than one name, Jennifer Mushemi. Is that accepted? All right. We have just one lady too. One lady. Man at the corner there. That's you.
I'm proposing Elder Philip Mushiri.
Elder Philip Mushiri, we have. Elder Philip Mushiri, is that accepted? Dead silence. Dropped. Reverend Kagwamba. Reverend Murege. Now, how many levels did we have there? There are many. We need some elders also. Okay. Right. Elder Joru. Elder Joru. Who is that one? Okay. Is it accepted? Elder Joru. Now, there is a lady down there. Johnson Jadha. Johnson Jadha. Is that accepted? Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, would you maybe give another lady? Huh? A lady? Yes, brother there. Elder Mrs. Mogo Gong Hill. Is that accepted? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who is their convener? Sorry. Reverend Julius Bogua will put them together and then moderate. Okay? Okay. Thank you very much. We will call back the moderator.
Thank you, Moderator, for steering that session very well. And as I always tell you, Presbyterianism is great. Now you imagine me out of the chair, seated at a corner, questions asked, and I'm helpless. because I have to respond to them. If you people said the questions are not responded to, I would have to work hard. And that's the beauty of our church. You have a position, whatever position, things are well defined, and every position has limitations. No one of us has powers that are beyond that you can use or misuse for that matter. Thank you very much. We now go to the next order.
Moderator, the next order is the report of the Secretary General.
So the Deputy Secretary General will now be taking notes.
Moderator, sir, this is the report of the Secretary General to the first GSC of the 23rd Assembly meeting held here at Millennium Guest House, Nairobi, from 19th to 22nd of April 2022. Church fathers in God, dear brothers and sisters, commissioners and delegate church members, and all invited guests, greetings to you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We are meeting at a time when the world celebrates Easter season to remember and celebrate the salvation brought about by the coming, suffering, death, and resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, as it is in the book of Philippians 2, verses 5 through to 11. This gives believers the opportunity for Jesus Christ to be living in their lives. We are also meeting when the nation is going through some significant issues and events. This includes the electioneering period in preparation for the elections of on the 9th August 2022, the implementation of the new competence-based curriculum, CBC, in the Kenyan education system, to mention just but a few. It is also a time when the world is recovering from the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Though we are not yet out of the woods, the world is also faced with serious environmental crises in the form of global warming and the resultant climate change. This GSC is also meeting where there is war and conflict in different parts of the world. An example is the war between Russia and Ukraine that is having a far-reaching political and socio-economic impact beyond the region. At the local level, there are pockets of violence in places like Laikipia, Baringo, and Marsabit. We are grateful to God that we are in the process of celebrating 100 years of Women's Guild ministry in PCA, 40 years since the ordination of women clergy in PCA, and 100 years of mission in the Eastern region, post-COVID church and evangelization. For the last 3 years, the world has continued to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, which was unprecedented. The church was not spared and has also experienced serious consequences, ranging from loss of lives and livelihoods to prolonged closure of churches. As a result, the faith of many Christians was taken to an extent that some have not yet resumed attending church activities, including Sunday service worship services. Others have lost their Presbyterian identity after mingling with diverse cultural church traditions and teachings, particularly through the social media platform. Post-COVID-19 pandemic evangelization requires the church to initiate the process of restoring those who have slackened through proper teachings and re-evangelization. The church should also repackage its message in a way that is compliant to modern information and communication technology. The pandemic has occasioned devastating effects that have contributed to economic stress, mental unwellness, and strained relationships, both at domestic and at the community levels. In order for the church to strategically position itself to deal with these challenges, there is need for properly initiated and managed income-generating projects, psychological an economical capacity building program for the members, as well as strategic integration of ICT in the mission and ministry of the church. Church and investments. 1, church partnership with Family Bank. The church has endeavored to stabilize her financial base through various strategies. It has, for example, established a strategic partnership with Family Bank that will benefit the church and her employees in the following ways. 1, the church will be earning interest on all deposit in the bank regardless of the duration. The church employees can also access credit facilities at friendly terms. The church will construct a building at our church headquarters for generating rental income, and Family Bank will open a branch in that facility. In this regard, the church and her institution is encouraged to take advantage of this partnership. B, the Milele hotels, Nairobi and Mombasa. Our hotels have been experiencing upheaval due to unfavorable economic turn of events. However, the turnaround strategies recently put in place have yielded positive results in a record time. The caretaker committee has done a commendable job, especially in Milele, Mombasa, and the future of these hotels is bright, and there is need to keep on supporting them. C, Presbyterian University of East Africa. The university has continued to stabilize after the award of the charter. The new governance structures are now in place, and the university has complied with the rules of the Commission of the University Education, that is Q, and the number of students has also increased significantly. The church urges all members to continue supporting this university. It is desirable for the university to develop a constructive engagement with the church's theological desk in order to enhance the church capacity to undertake research and disseminate findings in areas that facilitate the church's mission and ministry. Other church projects. The church has many other projects which were started to enhance her mission. These include 1, the Presbyterian Teachers Training College, Rubati. This institution has trained many teachers who have continued to make impact in the education sector in this country and beyond. However, with the introduction of CBC and the requirement by the Ministry of Education to adjust both the curriculum and the education delivery ecosystem, the college was required to close her doors for new students for some time. The church commends the leadership of the college for ensuring that the college is now fully compliant and training has resumed. The church is appealing for both financial support and recruitment of students to help the college remain afloat. 2, mission hospitals. The church owns and runs 3 mission hospitals, namely Kikuyu, Tumutumu, and Chogoria, alongside numerous other health facilities. They have continued to offer quality health services to many people within the country and beyond. Every effort is being made to enhance delivery of services and existing infrastructure in order to close any existing gaps. The Health Board, in collaboration with the Neden Mission Board and BSL, the Medical Benevolent Fund, and other partners, are working with the 3 hospitals to establish the 4th church hospital at Rumuruti Mission Land in Laikipia County. CAC TV. Just before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the church established the CAC TV, which became a strong tool for pastoral care and evangelism, especially when the in-person gatherings were not allowed. The TV was also meant to generate income for mission work. Its operations are still being sustained from the central kitty of the church. Efforts are being made to make CAC TV projects self-sustaining. This calls for support of all of us. CAC Insurance Agency. This entity has continued to make positive strides in the provision of insurance services. It is noteworthy that this insurance agency would not have made this progress without the support of the members, congregation, parishes, presbyteries, and church institutions. With adequate support, it is possible to grow. This agency to a fully-fledged insurance company. Church and politics. The nation is currently in an electioneering mood, in readiness for the oncoming general election in the month of August. As we pray for peaceful elections, the church encourages her members to participate effectively, both as voters and contestants. However, the church urges the participants in political activities to do so with respect and decorum. Those who wish to vie for elective political positions should follow the procedures stipulated by the church. The church also urges all readers to ensure that respect for church and the integrity of our worship services by not engaging in any politicking in the church. The resolution of not allowing politicians to speak in our churches still stands. In addition, the process is underway to strengthen the Justice, Peace and Reconciliation Committee, JPRC, to effectively guide the church's involvement in civic and political affairs. Church and partnerships. Local and international partners have historically played a critical role in supporting the mission of this church. Such partnerships should be sought, maintained, safeguarded, and strengthened. Partnership, however, should be carried out in compliance with the existing church policy framework on partnerships. The principle of subsidiarity is what guides the church in the area of partnership. We should not allow our Jitegemea philosophy to be lost. Mission and church expansion. The church exists for mission. The church appreciates the contribution made by all the pioneer missionaries who started work in such places like Kibwezi, Kikuyu, Tomotomo, Chogoria, among others. Our presbyteries, parishes, and congregations have continued with this noble task. Currently, the church has embarked on establishing a local mission center at Romuruti in Laikipia County. The center has an acreage of 200 acres that will host a mission hospital, schools, colleges, university, church, a wood road, and borehole facilities. This will be the first locally established mission center in the church. The church appreciates both local and international partners that are helping us to make this dream a reality. In particular, the contribution of the Outreach Foundation in construction of the existing structures and sinking of the boreholes, and the Medical Benevolence Foundation, who are supporting the establishment of a hospital. The church urges the parishes, presbyteries, and other church entities to partner with the Nedeni Mission Board for social responsibility in this endeavor. Strategic plan. The church has recently redefined her vision, mission, and strategic direction by drawing a strategic plan covering a 5-year period from 2021 to 2024. It is important that all church codes and church members be conversant with the content and mobilize their efforts to ensure its effective and timely implementation. Church Constitution. The church has been guided over the years by the Constitution, which has enabled the church to remain dynamic and stable over the years. Whereas there is need for periodic review of the church constitution until such a time that this becomes a reality. The current constitution remains authoritative and its provisions should be complied with without any deviation. Church and finance. The church appreciates that it is through the general support of her members that PCA mission and ministry has been possible for more than a century. The Lord prayed by the parishes and presbyteries in remitting the MMF and other financial obligations cannot be overemphasized. However, there is large amounts of MMF arrears that if they were paid, would have a huge impact in promoting the agenda of the church as well as clearing some disturbing debts. The church is urging those entrusted with church resources to ensure prudent financial management at all levels, in line with the following policy document: the Practice and Procedure Manual, Human Resource Manual, Investment Manual, the ICT fraud manual, and fraud manual, procurement, as well as the scheme of service for church employees. Church and ICT. Information and communication technology, ICT, has for a long time played a key role as both a tool for dissemination of information and as an instrument of evangelizing. It is through ICT that the church has continued with pastoral care, mission, and fellowship when the world experienced lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is now evident that for the church to be effective in her mission in the 21st century, integration of ICT in her structures is inevitable. The church notes with concern that in the recent past, some people have used modern technology, especially the social media, to scandalize the church. While it is desirable for everyone to use social media responsibly, the church has a responsibility to ensure that social media is not used to destroy her mission, ministry, and image. Consequently, the business committee is in the process of developing a social media policy that will guide the church on the proper utilization of social media. Proposed Lower Eastern Presbytery. I'm glad to inform that the proposal by the 22nd General Assembly of creating the Lower Eastern Presbytery is progressing well. I wish to thank all the presbyteries with mission within this area and who have been very supportive. So far, one Edeni area has been upgraded into a parish, and 3 others are at their final stages of upgrading. All the presbyteries concerned have agreed on the construction of the office at Machakos, which will be the headquarters. The design has been agreed on and approved. The groundbreaking of the same was done on 24th March 2022, and the formula of funding the construction was also agreed on. We therefore foresee the inauguration of the Lower Eastern Presbytery by the end of this calendar year. We call upon all of us to support this great mission initiative, which will bring a huge impact within that region. Diaspora ministry. The church has debated over this overseas presbytery for a long time. Other churches took over our idea and implemented it and are shepherding their members in diaspora very well. We must implement this now, as we have hundreds of congregations with thousands congregating as PCA and strictly keeping our PCA identity. We should implement this immediately, as it is a biblical mandate for us to do it. The Holy Ministry. 1. Tent-making ministry. The need is now felt for reinstituting the tent-making ministry in order to meet the growing need of the ministerial personnel. The tent-making ministry has in the past played a key role in meeting this need. One of the areas that would clearly benefit from this ministry is the chaplaincy to various institutions. The chaplaincy has recently been identified as a key channel to reaching out to the people beyond the conventional parish context. It requires qualified and competent ministerial personnel who come along with cost implications. Utilizing tent-making ministers in the chaplaincy ministry is cost-effective. Other areas that would benefit from tent-making include mission areas, parishes with many congregations, among others. Ministerial ethics, B. There is great concern of a non-conformity to the required ministerial ethical standard. The current theme of the 23rd General Assembly from Haggai 1:5 reminds the church, including her servants, to give careful thoughts to our ways. This therefore implies that church leaders and the entire membership must uphold moral and ethical standards in the conduct of all their affairs. The need has also arisen to reiterate the necessity to conform to the specified clerical vestments for the ministers, specifically on the color code that is white, gray, and black shirts, as well as the design of the vestments and group uniforms across the board. Health and welfare of church workers. It has been noted that 40% of all diseases are stress-related. Ministry work can be tedious and stressful. Ministers are subject to stress, which can at times resort to breakdown of their health spiritually, mentally, physically, socially, and economically. It is imperative that the ministers and church workers ensure they maintain their health as a matter of priority through regular checkups, physical fitness, proper diet, sufficient rest and breaks, among others. The church also has a responsibility to support the health of her servants. To this, I strongly encourage, where possible, parishes and presbyteries to subscribe and pay for their pastoral teams to fitness clubs, for good health is key to effective ministry. Church medical scheme. The church has an existing medical scheme or insurance aimed at meeting the medical needs of her employees. This scheme has the following benefits. One, the church employees who join the scheme are assured of a medical cover in cases of illness or sickness, which reduces the financial burden considerably for both the inpatients and outpatients. The medical scheme, number two, is non-discriminatory with regards to pre-existing health conditions for admissions or in terms of enjoying full benefit of the cover. Three, all unused premium is plowed back to the church for use in the mission work. Four, on retirement, staff members can continue to contribute to the scheme and enjoy all the benefits accrued. To this, since there are some presbyteries who have not joined the medical scheme, going forward, all PCA employees must be insured with the PCA medical scheme only. Pension. The staff retirement benefit scheme has continued to do exemplary well in catering for the pension of the members. During the year under review, the overall fund grew from 1.3 billion by 31st December 2020 to 1.4 billion by 31st December 2021. The increase was brought about by contributions from presbyteries amounting to 122 million for the year 2021 compared to 96 million received in the year 2020. In the same year, 2021, 83 million was paid out as benefit to 61 members, of whom 15 were death claims. This trend is alarming since only 35 million was paid in the year 2020. Further, active membership reduced from 879 in 2020 to 837 in 2021. It is important to note that 70% of the current members of the scheme are above 50 years. There is urgent need for the church to address the shrinking trend of the scheme brought about by the church employment policy, which favors the contractual staff as compared to permanent and pensionable employees. Gratuity. In reference to the Scheme of Service 2013 to 2016 under Clause 1.4, or on summary of recommendations, the committee recommended new non-clergy employees to be employed on 2 to 3 year renewable contract. Where necessary, the Secretary General was to issue guidelines on conversion of existing non-clergy staff from permanent to contract, and the same was adopted and has been in operation up to date. Due to the challenges of payment of gratuity at the end of the contract period, the scheme of service 2019-2022 under clause 6.3.2 on contract staff recommended the submission of monthly gratuity of 25% of the basic salary to the head office for onward transmission to the fund manager, who is Britam, for investment under the umbrella scheme. Today, the umbrella scheme has over 20 million. However, this was not adopted by majority of presbyteries, which neither favors the church nor the employees. Whereas the contract employment was aimed at shielding the church from employment labor-related issues, this has not been achieved since presbyteries are unable to pay gratuity on time. On the part of the employees, gratuity is taxable at 30%, and it earns no interest while it accumulates in the presbyteries. The Office of the Secretary General is firmly grounded on seeking for a solution which may include registration of a provident fund or change of policy to employ on permanent and pensionable basis. State of the economy. Global issues are affecting the economy, and such include the current war between Russia and Ukraine. This war has interrupted the normal global supply chain of such critical commodities such as fuel, gas, and food, resulting in unexpected shortages, rising inflation, high cost of living, and increased poverty among the vulnerable sections of the society. Subsequently, social unrest has also erupted in some nations of the world. Some Kenyan export product will also be affected due to the inaccessibility of some international market. This is bound to affect economic standing of our members. People are therefore advised to seek all acceptable means to generate income, reduce wastage of resources, save, and also invest. In this regard, the church reminds the members to join and maximize the benefit of the membership to the saving and credit cooperatives, the SACCOs, as well as identifying and utilizing other opportunities provided by the government to generate income and support their livelihoods. Moreover, the cost of food commodities has risen beyond the reach of many due to diverse factors. The church therefore encourages members to engage in modern farming methods that will ensure food security without harming the soil and the environment. Achievement for the period under review. The church has realized remarkable milestones in the past 1 year, despite the prevailing economic hardships. The following are some of those accomplishments. 1, our mission hospitals have made significant infrastructure development, such as installation of the MRI facilities, expansion of Leno units, increase of nursing training institutions, among others. They have deliberately embraced the culture of quality improvement, which now has contributed significantly to their remaining financially afloat. The church, number 2, the church has overseen the establishment of a management mechanism that has enabled the Milere hotels to turn to profitability. The resources generated from this undertaking were plowed back to carry out massive renovations and refurbishment. The facilities are now more attractive to the market in terms of both infrastructure and service provision. The church has continued to provide guidance that has helped the church maintain her independence, integrity, and prophetic presence during this electioneering period. 4, the church continues to effectively utilize the ICT platforms, especially the CAC TV, to provide pastoral ministry to her members. This was significantly useful at a time when it was impossible for in-person gatherings owing to COVID-19 restrictions. Finally, number 5, 98% of the revenue owed to the head office by the parishes for the financial 2020-2021 were cleared. This is remarkable given the prevailing circumstances. Conclusion. We thank God for enabling the church to sustain and proceed with her mission despite the hard circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. We are also grateful for the continued sacrificial and joyful support by our members, without which little or nothing would have been accomplished. The church also appreciates her courts, the General Assembly Office and the Secretariat, committees and the departments for remaining steadfast in their unwavering support in the administration and pastoral ministry of the church. The church continues to recognize and appreciate the contribution of our partners who have rendered very important support. It is our prayer that God continues to bless our collective effort towards accomplishing the mission of God in the world. This far, the Lord has been Ebenezer, as it is in 1 Samuel 7:12. Moderator, sir, that is the report of the Secretary General.
I think there's a chair there that can be moved. Oh, we are setting our fathers now. Sure. Thank you, Pastor Moderator. Thank you. Mmepiga makofi. Sikusikia. Thank you. Now, thank you for the report. We now present it to the floor for any questions. There's one here. Mike. Kagwamba.
Thank you, Moderator. Thank you for the Secretary General's report, which is quite detailed. I would like to thank him for the Family Bank partnership, which is a good election. If everything is done in order to avoid past mistakes, I think it will really boost the welfare of the church. However, on Milele, Mombasa, Moderator, we admit that if there is one project which has really haunted the church, the PCA church for that matter, and even inviting auctioneers, is the Milele, Mombasa. However, the Secretary General said very true on the same. Because I remember the business committee met one full day discussing the whole issue of Milele. The Presbyterian officials were taken to Mombasa to oversee whatever is happening. We also, on another business meeting, discussed the issue of Milele. And yet, what has been said, not forgetting the technical committee, which burnt midnight oil, discussing ways and means. And yet, those details have not been brought here. Moderator, if they are not informed or they are not brought to the GSC, where should they be reported other than in this meeting? Thank you.
Question heard. Any other question? Elder Dumo.
Thank you, Moderator, and the SG for a detailed report. A question on church and finances. The finance docket is properly under the SG, and there is the discussion on a rallying call to ensure prudent financial management. So what should we do in light of some of the discussions and the information in public knowledge? What should we be doing, or what should your office be doing to ensure ethical financial management practices, especially at all levels of the church, especially at the higher level, projects are thriving at the congregational level, at the parish level, partly at the presbytery level, but as it goes up, things are turning south. And secondly, on the constitution, again, a great discussion and aligned to the GA officials reading through the 3 reports. You notice that there is a great move, or we are all geared towards a P&P review. In the report, you've indicated we should implement the P&P as is. So what is the status of the bylaws, the resolutions that are made by and by, because they should form part of what then drives us. But maybe the question is, what should we do? And what do we need then to do to ensure that we fast track and complete the review? Thank you.
Okay. There's a lady there. There's a lady over there. Elder from, is it Erubago? Joro? Joro.
Thank you, Moderator. Thank you, Secretary General, for the good and comprehensive report. I have a comment on the...
Questions first. We'll give opportunity for comments later. So reserve your comment. First, let's hear questions. Was there any other heart? Elder Morage? And then Elder Guyo?
Thank you, Moderator and the Secretary General. Mine is, I want to kindly request SG to expound on the partnership with the Family Bank on the construction of this building in the headquarters.
Question understood? Hopefully. Elder Guyo?
Thank you very much, Moderator. Very good report from the Secretary General. I'm raising a question from the POEA. The comment that the number of students has also increased significantly, which is quite hopeful. In another document that is here, I've seen the breakdown of the students, and a number, about 3,000 or over, quite a significant number is from the government. Only a few have been actually there. We have only been able to attract a few. In case the government revoked or changed that policy, would our university still be healthy? We've also noted that we have been here and we have had discussions about people who are owed, staff who are owed salaries and monies from that institution. Have those ones been paid now that there is this kind of significant increase? Thank you.
Thank you. Elder Juru, then one from the other side. Elder Juru?
I would like to appreciate the report from the Secretary General, and it's a good report, and we note with the concern there is issue of the Mirere Mombasa where there is that it is self-sustaining and it is repairing on its own, while on the same docket from another report, it says that it's unable to sustain itself. It has been given 65 million. So I don't know where we are on that.
Thank you. Was there a heart somewhere here? There is a... Okay, Reverend Murigi.
Thank you, Moderator. Thank you for this report, Secretary General. But on the proposed Lower Eastern Presbytery, I'm asking myself, maybe as a member of business, this one has not been brought into this level. It's just a proposal, but how does it capture here if it has not yet been deliberated by the business committee?
Thank you. Looks like we have no other question. So, there is one question up there. Who is that?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm Joseph Kemo. And my question first is to appreciate the good report, and then direct the question to the medical scheme. First is to appreciate that we have been told that it is working well, but now the question goes to when we are told that must. I'd like to ask maybe whether something has been done to ensure that we are being given the best product in the market.
Is that it, Kama? The last one, the very last one now. At the corner. Identify yourself, please.
I'm Mothuri Wakananwa. Thank you, Moderator. The Secretary's report was quite good. My question is about CAG TV. I would like to know whether that TV can be more commercial and also employ reporters all over the country, so that in future it will not overburden the members through financial support. Thank you.
Thank you. Answers?
Thank you, Moderator, sir. That was a good engagement, and I appreciate all the questions and all the concerns. It is a demonstration of the interest we have and the goodwill we have with our church. Family Bank. There are two questions about the Family Bank, and the direction. The issue is about the building. And yes, and I'll take you through what the PP says. This is a floated idea. There is no building under construction. And therefore, we should be very clear. And let me read what the PP says so that we understand. And the Secretary General is obligated and mandated and ordered by the PP to bring suggestions which would benefit the church. And this is what we have in Article 1863. And I also read 64 so that we don't again come back to the same issue about the moderator. This is what the PP says, so that we don't sell this connotation that the Secretary General cannot bring in an issue. He's mandated, unless it comes from the business. That is wrong, and we need to hear what the PP says. The Secretary General shall, this is in the GSC or GA, the Secretary General shall submit a report on the general affairs of the church and it's free to include matters of importance, irrespective of whether such matters have been discussed by the business committee. That is what the PP says. Then it continues to say, 1864, the moderator shall present a report on his stewardship during the past year. This report does not carry proposed resolutions as the others do. However, after the report is presented to the Assembly, an ad hoc committee shall be appointed by the Assembly to study the report and report back at the appropriate time during the session. So any idea that the Secretary General is not supposed to bring up an idea, a good idea to the church, is misinformation. So this is an idea which has been floated by from the desk of the Secretary General, so that the idea can be developed and actualized by the relevant committee. The Secretary General does not build, does not do any construction. He gives the issue to the foundation, and now we have another committee, which I'll mention about, so that they can implement that. So anybody thinking that the Secretary General missed the mark by bringing idea, you are out of order. It is within the Constitution for the Secretary General to do that. The second question is Mirele Mombasa. Very retro is said about the Milele. I don't know how retro is retro, because I was taught how to summarize. And now in my report, I've mentioned about the committee. I've mentioned about the technical committee. If we listen to what I read, I mentioned about them, and I say they are doing very well. So I didn't go deep into the nitty-gritties of what they have done because it is within the knowledge of the business and it is an ongoing work. So I never ignored what the committee is doing, and they are properly acknowledged within my report, which I'm not going to read again because it is there for you to see. I mentioned about that committee. So purporting to have ignored that committee, again, I think it is not good because it is a summarized report. If I was to say everything, including the bus fare, which was paid to go down there, I think we would spend here another whole day looking at the matter. Financial management, what should we do? Let us adhere to our constitution. Let us be frugal in our spending, and in our planning, let us be good planners. Let us respect our system. 2, I've been saying, and we said this when we were going round, let us put good measures. Kila mtu afanye kazi yake. The moderator afanye kazi yake, the treasurer afanye kazi yake, and then we ensure that everything is properly minuted and it is passed within the courts and the committees, and then they are properly captured. And we are also bringing in another system, ICT system, so that it can help our parishes and our presbyteries to fast track their financial issues. The other thing which we are saying we should have is proper reporting of our money. The money we have is church's money, and all this boils down to integrity. No matter what we do, if at all we don't have integrity, then it means that we'll never get it right. The PP we follow as it is. This is what we reminded you and we read to you when it comes to the issues of amending the Constitution. And I remember it was explained very well. The Katiba says that we cannot, and listen here, we cannot reinstitute the process again within the same General Assembly. And that one is very clear. And it says very well that what we are supposed to do is now for this GSC to instruct the incoming General Assembly to start the process. It is very clear in the Constitution. And therefore, it is not that we are ignoring anything, but we are bound by the same Constitution. And we are saying, so long as we have not changed this Constitution, every dot of this Constitution applies. We cannot apply it with impartiality, and that is why we were saying the issue we are trying to do of circumventing the Constitution and coming up with policy document, I still maintain and I say it is wrong, because this is the Katiba, this is our PP, and therefore we do not have a mandate to institute any changes within the Constitution within this GA. So, but this GA is mandated to now make a resolution for this other one to start the amendment of the Constitution. That is the Constitution. Kindly let us adhere to what the Constitution says. The other thing is, the other question was where the growth of students, what do we do? Because most of the students are government students. Yes, this is the irony that the government has got more faith with our institution than us. Our children are not at the Presbyterian University, but the government is sending us more students. Loyalty. let us be loyal. What are we saying about our university to our children? What are we saying about our university in our churches? That is the reason. Either we are silent or we are saying the wrong things. In the social media, what are we doing to our university? So those are the issues which are affecting us. And until such a time when we will have the courage to tackle them head on and say we are wrong, that is why we are not attracting our own, this is a time we'll be able to change. And this is the time for us to change because our university is well and our university is doing well. Please let us have that sense of ownership. Let us have that sense of loyalty. It is our institution. It is our institution. Let us care because it is our institution. Yes, it is very sad because as the person who asked this question, if the government withdraws its support and students, we are done. We have very few students. In fact, you also find the few, because I also teach there sometimes, the few students who are self-sponsored are not from within this area. They are from the Rex, they are from Pwani, but not from our area. That talks volumes. So please let us take care of our institution because if such a thing happens, it is not a shame to the Secretary General, it is a shame to all of us. What about those old by the university? We asked this question during, yes, we've been so busy and we were to have a BOT meeting before coming for this. But as you know, we were going around for the moderatorial. We tried to squeeze for a date. We could not get a date. And so, unfortunately, and our apologies, we were not able to meet. And therefore, we could have answered this question very well. But the last time we were in a BOT meeting, we were told that they are making very good strides. They are clearing their debt slowly. But they say they are still waiting upon the pledge which was made by the church, whereby a certain portion of land was to be disposed, and then they would clear all the debt. But what they say, and I don't have the figures, it's good to say that, they say that they are clearing them slowly. So kindly allow us, once we go for the BOT, we shall answer this question in the business committee. By then, we'll be having the figures at our fingertips. Roa Eastern Presbytery, where did it come from? Now my question is, where did it not come from? Because during the 2018 General Assembly, Resolution 3737, it is very clear this is the resolution which ordered the church to start the Roa Eastern Presbytery and to bring together all the presbyteries which, or those presbyteries which were doing mission within those areas. And that resolution explains it very well, that this is a presbytery which is not coming from another presbytery. Read that resolution, that it is an initiative of the General Assembly. And the Secretary General was mandated to do that. So kindly, have the institutional memory, ask what you want to ask, and let us, I always say, let us confess. If at all you are not clear about something, let us ask. So I refer you to the resolution 3737 of the 2018 General Assembly. That is the genesis of what we are doing and what we are implementing now and what we are just about to complete. So kindly be advised. It is not something we are getting from the air. Medical scheme. Why are we being told that it is a must? Because you are Presbyterian. Period. Loyalty. this money, which we are using to ensure our staff and our ministers, it is money being contributed by these members. And we are talking of a policy of our money working for us. So when you take your money to ABCD Insurance and you pay, you pay 3 million, you pay 2 million, you pay 1 million, and at the end of the year, only 3 people, 4 people have gotten sick, and then the rest of the money is lost at the end of the year. That is not, we are talking about prudent management of our resources. This is money paid by Wajiko, paid by Joroge and Kimani. And therefore, and Boru. So, and therefore, this is money we are supposed to plow back into the church. We should be loyal to our church. So when somebody argues that we should not do this, and we should give a leeway of this money, and for your information, and you know, this money, like this money for the for this scheme, it is the money the office used to build some townhouses, which has helped to arrest the increment of the sales at the head office, because that money, you know, the rent from those houses is helping to supplement what we require to have here. So seriously, when we have our money, we are contributing our money in the same kitty, and you are taking money to a muhidi somewhere, we are not prudent. We are not prudent. We are talking about using PCEA money, PCEA in capital letters money. And that is the money we are saying we must use well. That is the bottom line of it. CAC TV, how can it be more commercial? We are trying our best. We have a new board in place. We've been planning to have a sitting with the board together with the moderator. It has not been possible. They are coming up with, they now have a commercial, I already forget those terms, but Bayer will be able to report better. They now have a commercial person who is now mandated to ensure that he or is a she takes our TV. She was from KTN, that's what I was told, and now she is pushing our TV towards being a fully fledged commercial station, and they are making good strides. The question is again, how much are we supporting them? Are we advertising our businesses with the CAC TV? For it to be fully commercial, we must have loyalty to our entities, to our establishments. So those are the questions I had been asked, moderator, and I've tried to answer them to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you. Questions answered? We now get comments, if there are any. There's a hand at the back, Reverend Dr. Gicheru, and then 2, 3, 4 hands here.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Is it on, Lady?
It's on, maybe. Okay.
It's good, we can hear you
yes,
now.
it is on. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to commend also the Secretary General for giving us a very comprehensive report. And my comments are on 3 areas. Number 1 is on ICT. I'm reminded that James talked about the tongue in chapter 3 of his epistle. And if he was speaking at this time, you'd also include the tongue, you know, the SCT as part of the tongue. And he said that the tongue is a very small organ that properly used can communicate well. When it is misused, they can set fire to a very big forest like the church. And therefore, on the ICT, it is important that we have a policy so that we are able to use it well, to communicate, to preach the gospel, but also to protect our institution from malicious gossip and rumor mongering. Number 2 is concerning the ministry to the diaspora. If I remember correctly, there was a resolution to the effect that the church forms, a presbytery, an overseas presbytery, and I want to concur that it is a high time that actually that ministry to the diaspora or that resolution is actualized so that we are able to continue, shepherding our people who keep on moving overseas for greener pastures and even for studies. Number 3 is about the insurance, the medical insurance scheme. It's a very good scheme that we should support our own, but we should also ensure that we have value for money, that whatever you have is actually competitive to whatever other schemes are in the market, so that we don't insure our people with that scheme, and when those needs come, then we are not able actually to benefit adequately. So I'm for